Finding scholarship opportunities for your student can be a little bit challenging, especially when you're trying to dodge the scams that are out there. By learning what makes an opportunity legitimate versus the warning signs of a scholarship scam can really save yourself a lot of trouble when it comes to building that scholarship list. By following these tips, you can help your student avoid less than scrupulous attempts at collecting their information and selling it. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures. Now, our main weapon against student loan debt is scholarships. This is our bread and butter. In fact, our families have secured over $10.5 million in scholarships and counting. So, as you can imagine, we have seen a scholarship scam a time or two over the years. Now, before I jump in, make sure that you hit subscribe because every week we release a new strategy, even beyond scholarships, to help your family work towards a debt-free degree. Now, some companies will use fake scholarship applications to collect students' information and sell it to a third party. Some of them will gather information and steal the identity. Some of them will charge a fee and just keep the money for themselves. Now, I know these can sound scary to deal with and face when searching for scholarships, but if you and your student can find legitimate ones, of course, the outcome and the plus side is way better. So we don't want to avoid scholarships because of this. We just want to know which ones to not apply to. So today I'm going to break it down into two main areas. First, we're going to talk about warning signs of a scholarship scam, things to avoid, and then we're going to talk about what to look for on legitimate scholarships, common traits of legitimate scholarships. Now, if you want step-by-step training, then I recommend you also attending my free 6-step training on how to secure scholarships quickly for college, where I outline scholarship scams in even more detail and show you some of my search methods to uncover legitimate scholarships. You can sign up for that at the link in the description, or you can go to thescholarshipsystem.com/free training, or click the button somewhere on the screen here, but make sure you check that out after this video. So like I mentioned, there are different ways that scholarships will scam a student. Now, I briefly mentioned a few earlier, like collecting information and selling it, never intending to give out scholarships, collecting money and never awarding scholarships, or even just purely taking someone's identity from scholarships. Now, sometimes it's not necessarily a scam, but it's just not worth our time. So that's the other side to this is these warning signs. It may not mean that the company is actually fraudulent, but it might just mean that the scholarship probably has hundreds of thousands of applicants and it's a small chance of winning that's out of our control. Okay, so I'm going to go over a few examples of what to look for that really says, okay, we don't want our students applying to these. So first is 100 characters or less. Or also if the scholarship says easy scholarship or no essay scholarship or drawing or sweepstakes. So a lot of these I roll into sweepstakes scholarships, but pretty much if it is based on just a few words of entry, or if your student can just re-enter over and over to win the money every single week and it's just based on luck, it's not worth our time. Again, some of these may truly be scammers, but others may just to give an example, I have been in this world for over a decade. I've never seen someone win one of these. And I've had parents push back and say, well, someone has to. Yes, they do. But the time that we waste on these, we could be putting into an essay that would actually win us money. So we really recommend avoiding any of these keywords that I just said. Another indicator of a scholarship we don't want to spend time on is asking zero requirements. So if it's just literally placing our name in the hat, no requirements for essays, no asking for resumes or ACE test scores or transcripts, anything like that. If it has nothing like that, if it's just purely based on the name, again, it's based on luck, not worth our time. Now, here is one that is really alarming, and that is if they ask for a student's social security number or credit card information. We do not want to provide those unless one exception would be if our student has received a scholarship and they need the social security number to submit, say, a tax form, or if that's the student's ID number for the university for them to send the money. So this is a totally different situation. On the application up front, however, they should not have to give out their social security number, nor should they have to give any kind of credit card number. So if it's asking for numbers like that, it's a big no. Now, going off of that, if it's an application fee, we are different with the scholarship system. I've had families where they get confused. They're like, wait a minute, we can pay you for your course. Well, the course is teaching your family the skill sets to win scholarships. It's not applying, it's not paying a fee to apply. So if a scholarship application says submit your application with a $65 check, something like that, where in order for your student to be considered for the scholarship, they have to pay a fee. No, that is a big red flag. The only exception to this would be maybe if they're joining an actual organization that benefits them in other ways. For example, say they're joining a leadership society where they can volunteer, they can run for positions, there's other things going on, and they also can apply for scholarships through the organization. Maybe they'll pay a organization fee, but they should never have to pay a fee to submit a scholarship application. Another one that I'm not really a fan of is one that's based on social shares. So if it is based on sharing this on social media, linking it, tagging it, getting your friends to share it, again, this is based on luck. Sure, you can work a little bit harder to get it shared, but really what this company is doing is they're trying to get you to do free marketing for them. So not a fan of this one either. Just a few more warning signs, and as you can see, there are a lot. So this is helpful to learn so that you can help your student build a legitimate list. But just a few more. One could be if it takes less than 5 minutes to apply. Again, not much effort, probably not legitimate. Also, if it's rewarded maybe weekly or monthly, again, that's a signal that it could be a drawing based on luck. Again, not worth our time. The last thing that maybe if you think it might be legitimate, but you're not sure, it just kind of seems off, maybe what you can do is look for the award, the previous winners for the award, and see if you can find them. If there is nothing published, nothing announced, then that may be a red flag as well. That's not black and white, but it is something that you can use kind of as a final test if you're unsure. Now, comment below, has your student been applying to some of these sweepstakes scholarships, or have you come across any kind of scams out there? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you're seeing so that we can help families avoid them as well. Now, before I jump into what to look for legitimate scholarships, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I applied to a lot of these above that I just mentioned, a lot of the drawings, the quick ones, the no essay ones, because they were easy and they made sense, right? So if your family has been applying to those, if your student's been applying to those, don't beat yourself up. Everyone has done it at some point or another. So I just wanted to give you all that kind of little push that if you fell for these, we all have. So now you know better thanks to us at the scholarship system. And that's why we're here to help point you in the right direction. But that said, even my own experience when I first started this, I got sucked into the scams as well. Okay, now let's get into what to look for as signs of a legitimate scholarship. So first is simply requirements. Do they ask for things like transcripts, resume, cover letter, recommendation letters, GPA, test scores? Are they asking about qualifications that your student has? That is a sign that they're actually basing their decision based on your student's competitiveness, which is what we want because those are things we can actually improve. That's what the scholarship system focuses on, helping students really fine-tune all these credentials so that they can be more competitive and therefore increase their chances of winning. If a scholarship, on the other hand, is based on luck, the only thing they can do is submit their name more often. That's the only thing they can do that's in their control to increase their chances of winning. But if it's a legitimate scholarship and it's asking for all of these other materials, then there's a lot within our control to increase our chances. Another big tell of a legitimate scholarship are the essay requirements or maybe a portfolio, but something that actually requires work. So 500 words, 1,000 words. Maybe they have multiple small, short prompts, but essays, true essays, not just one-liners, that is a good indicator, but we also want to check for the other things as well. Some of them may have a minimum GPA as an indicator as well. And then lastly, it's typically awarded once, maybe twice a year. Big scholarships that are actually awarding money, they have to put in a lot of work to select winners. So if it's done weekly, they're not putting much effort into it. In fact, at the scholarship system, we give out thousands of dollars every year, and it takes us probably about 2 weeks to go through and narrow down the applications. And we're not even getting nearly as many applications as some of the other big ones where they're getting tens of thousands of applications. So, that said, if it is truly based on your students' credentials, they cannot put the time in to do it weekly or even monthly. Even quarterly would be very challenging for us at the scholarship system and for most scholarships. So typically a legitimate one will only be awarded once, maybe twice a year. Okay, now are you ready for a pop quiz? If so, then you can hop on over to our blog where we actually have an article helping you and your student identify legitimate scholarships versus scams, and we have a pop quiz in there. So you can find that link in the description along with that free training I mentioned earlier, that where I go further in depth on identifying scams, and then I show you how I use Google to find legitimate ones. Now, lastly, if your student is still uncertain about whether or not a scholarship is legitimate, or maybe you're helping them build the list and you're unsure, another thing, one last kind of check that you can do is just looking at the fine print. Are there things like sweepstakes or drawings or rules, terms and conditions, things that make it look like some kind of sweepstake? That can be another red flag. And then lastly, just ask yourself, is this making my student work for the money, or is this based on luck? And that can help you decide, is it a scam or is it legitimate? All right, so there you have it. I hope that you're helping your students search for scholarships and build that list. And if you aren't, again, attend that free training and make sure you hit subscribe because I have a new strategy every week on this. But now you know a lot of the indicators on how you can decipher if a scholarship is legitimate or if a scholarship is a scam. I will see you in the next video.